So I'm out here in Maui. We're meeting with Tom. Tom, if you want to go ahead and just tell him a little bit about yourself, how long you've been here, and
Sure. So Tom Tezak, and I'm a realtor here in Maui. Been here for about 19 years. I was a realtor for about 9-10 years before I got here.
okay.
Live and work in South Maui, and it's just been an amazing journey. I own the company Wailea Realty along with a business partner, and I've got a small team. So we've been selling real estate here for quite a long while.
Nice.
Life is good.
For sure. Nice. And where were you at before here?
Joliet, Illinois. A little bit different.
What made you decide to move to Maui? I'm here now, and I'm like, I could just stay. I don't need to get back on my plane.
Yes, you do, because you're a realtor, and I don't need any more competition.
Right? No, for sure.
No, you know what? We came out here. Really, I laugh and say February, and if you've ever been to Chicago in February, you would know exactly what I mean. It's miserably cold. It's gray, and we just, my wife and I had a bunch of different businesses that I did, and finally one day we just said, you know what? We don't want to be here. I don't want to wake up here anymore. And so we made the decision to move, and about 18 months later, it took us quite a while. Had some life changes. My dad passed away. My wife and I had a baby, and we had 2 kids, and we got off the plane a little over 19 years ago with a 3-month-old and a 6-year-old.
Oh, wow. Now we're here.
Yeah, so now we're here. Exactly.
All right. Well, we're just going to go into it, and I'm going to ask him a few questions, and hopefully we get you guys some good information. So
Perfect.
the first thing I'm going to go ahead and talk about is how's the market increased over the last 10 years and what you've seen as far as inventory, population, and the job market?
So our market is, Maui is very much of a resort and a tourism destination.
For
So
sure.
our market is driven by that. Most of our economy comes from tourism. And you know, in the past 10 years, it's been an ever slow cycle after the crash in 2007, 2008. It was impactful here. We lost 30 to 40% on our property values in some of the properties. The high end just lost a little bit. Our population, you know, most recently, which is from 2010, is about 144,000, and it ebbs and flows. People come and go. A lot of people will move here, follow their dream, and then all of a sudden there's life changes that happen, and it's like, oh, I want to be closer to my grandkids, so they'll relocate back, or I want to be, my parents are getting older, so I've got some folks, I'm just selling their condo right now, and their parents are starting to age, and they just said, you know, we want to spend this time with them. They've been here for 7 years, and now it's time for that change. And that it's just that continual ebb and flow of folks coming in, and the economy definitely impacts us both in tourism and employment like it does everywhere else, but it can be a little bit more dramatic here.
I can see that.
Because when the economy tanked, people quit traveling, so everything sort of shuts down, and then the people who had their vacation homes, there was less rentals.
Yep.
So that impacts it, so it drove prices down and that product as well. So we experienced that through our market, like we saw in a lot of places in the country.
For sure.
It's now recovered, and we're on a really strong, slow recovery, which I love. Last time the market sort of hockey sticked and spiked up real fast.
Yeah.
And we were seeing this just crazy buying frenzy, and we haven't seen that. We've seen this beautiful, steady increase, and we don't see a reason why it's going to falter, but we are a cyclical market as a resort market, so we see that. We anticipate that, you know, we'll be seeing some slowdown, but the economists that we're looking at are saying, yes, it's going to slow. Yes, we may see a recession, but it's probably not going to affect the real estate market anywhere like it did 8 to 10 years ago.
Not at all. Yeah. That's awesome. And as far as the job market goes, what is a common job for the locals, people who've been there their whole lives?
So, service industry is huge. I mean, tourism. You know, you're staying at a hotel. You're here. The people that are the bartenders, the valets, the people, the managers that are running the hotel, the staff, the cooks, and all of that. That's a huge employer in our marketplace. And then the ancillary business for the people that live here. So, you know, the gas station operators and the hospital employees, and we still have all of those services to substantiate that 144,000, 150,000 residents. But beyond that, the other thing that we have is about 2.5 million tourists that come in to the market every year.
Okay.
So we just don't need a hospital big enough for 144,000, but at any given time there's 250,000 people on the island because of that tourism.
Absolutely.
So we have a lot of what I've noticed a lot of things popping up here is like the emergency care. Somebody busts their shoulder up out bodyboarding or gets slammed or steps on a sea urchin. So we're seeing more and more of the advent of the primary or the urgent care kind of places.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, and then talking about the vacation rentals and things like that, Utah kind of has a big problem with like illegal rentals. How do you go about owning a rental? If you wanted to Airbnb it in Maui, like how does that?
So, great question. And you know what I love about the Airbnb concept is new to the overall world.
Of course.
It's really, really old here. And I mean that we've been dealing
Yeah.
with this, and we have policies and guidelines. We have zoning in place.
Yep.
So there's thousands of units that you can buy, rent out, completely legal, approved by the county, do daily rentals, put them in Airbnb. There is another site called VRBO, Vacation Rental by Owner.
Yes.
And we have tons of vacation management companies here, so we work within them guidelines really easy. So it's interesting for me to see all of these cities and communities all over the country that never had a transient rental market,
Yeah.
and now there's all of these growing pains for that. For us, it's
You've been doing it.
we've been doing it, so it's not an
Yeah.
issue. So if somebody wants to buy a property and put it in Airbnb, easy as can be. You just need to find a realtor who can give you the guidance. The challenge that we're experiencing now is that, you know, with technology and the internet, there's so many places you can go and get information. We've now looked at ourselves as more the guide as
For
opposed
sure.
to the agent, because
Yeah.
people can go and get information. They not only can get information, they can get way too much information and become
Absolutely.
overloaded, and then not know how to interpret it. And so that's what we're seeing is that the Zillows and the Realtor.coms and the Redfin can give you the information, but they can't tell you, is this property legal for vacation rental
Yeah.
or illegal? So our website's been designed specifically so somebody can go on and say, I want a vacation rental, I want a non-vacation rental. And in our market, so you know, a vacation rental is something that you can rent on a daily basis.
Yep.
Over 6 months, we would consider a long-term or a residential property. And so we have these guidelines, and it's really clear. And so we have all of that laid out already.
Yeah.
And so there's condos, and one condo can be right next to another one. Like over here in the Palms at Wailea and Wailea Palms. Palms
Yep.
at Wailea allows vacation rental, Wailea Palms doesn't. The unfortunate part for everybody that's out there searching, unless they're going to my website, I'm sure there's probably a couple others, but most
Yep.
of the big players don't differentiate.
And what is the website?
TomTzak.com and or LifestyleMaui.com. Either one of
Okay.
them will get you.
And what's like the average people are buying a vacation rental? It's something they might want to stay in, but ultimately it's an investment.
Yes.
What's like the price that you're going to be looking at?
Our vacation rentals right now range from, you might be able to find one right over $300,000. And I've got a couple that are listed around $6 million.
Okay.
So you can have one as high as $20 million that can do vacation rentals.
Nice.
It's just a different animal. And a lot of times people say, well, I want to buy a house. Homes are really, really difficult to do vacation rental. Almost everything that we rent here are condominiums.
That makes sense.
So you know, if you wanted to buy a house, put in a vacation, get a special use permit for a vacation rental, you have to own it for 5 years before you can even apply.
Okay.
And so we did just have a crackdown because a lot of people were renting their homes out, renting ohanas, which is a guest house or like basically a casita or one-bedroom apartment.
For sure.
And they changed the rules here so that it's a $10,000 fine per day
Oh, wow.
if somebody's violating it. And that all stems from, and this is what people, I believe, communities around the country are experiencing, is it's a shortage of rentals for the working class, the workforce. Housing
Makes sense.
is getting taken out of the mix because of the daily rentals, because it's more lucrative. And so that's one of the issues that people are having. So
Yeah, absolutely.
a lot of information there, but you know, it's one of the things that we've been dealing with for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I see it, and I've gone and looked at different market areas, and there's all of these community struggles going on.
So, and how would that work? So, like, we rented an Airbnb, it's at a condo, we know it's legal, we talked to the condo manager and things, but if someone were to rent something there 5 days into their trip and someone knocks on their door and is like, you guys, do they kick you out or what happens?
Yeah,
Like,
because we're so sensitive to tourism, I guess they could, but that would be, the owner is really screwing up.
For
The
sure.
owner is gonna get notice that they have to cease and desist.
for sure.
They'll give them some latitude with getting the rentals that are in place, but not a lot anymore. But if you're in there, it's unlikely that you would get booted out here from the way the county works.
Nice.
The owners are going to get fined, but you wouldn't necessarily get booted out.
For sure. And as far as like, so this one kind of off topic, as far as owners against like rentals, how many people in Maui own their homes?
Great question. I don't know the answer to that. I tried to do some research before you were coming in, and I don't know. I don't know how many absolute owners we have. We have a lot, and maybe this is what you're asking. We have a ton of people who own property here in Maui that live somewhere else.
For sure.
So we probably and it's different. If you go to Wailuku, most everybody there owns their home, lives there. It's their primary residence. When you get into Kihei, it's probably a 70%, 80% of the people own their homes, and then condos, there's a lot more people that live on the mainland. You get into Wailea, which is a higher end, more resort-driven market, the vast majority of the people live somewhere else.
Nice.
So I like to say the more expensive the home, the less days the owners spend in it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so.
All right. Well, if you guys have any questions concerning like real estate, things like that, when I post a video, I'll go ahead and put Tom's card. You can contact him. He'll be happy to answer those.
And if you do call me, just let me know that you saw it on camera and show so that I can make sure to say thanks.
Thank you. We're just this is tips for people coming to Maui. So these are 4 questions. Like, what's the best place to stay? What's the best thing to do while you're here? Best place to eat? And then any other tips you could give someone traveling.
Wow. So let me step back. When I was moved here and I asked a friend of mine, I said, what's the best place? What's the best part of Maui? And he sort of sat back and he said, it's just variations in perfection. And it really depends on what you want. If you're an avid water sports fan and you wanna go surfing, West Side's got some great surfing. West Side being Kaanapali, Kapalua, Lahaina. If you want to snorkel, West Side or South Side, it both has great snorkeling. If you go to the West Side, though, the West Side has a little bit heavier traffic, a lot more tourism. So if you want someplace that's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chill, I recommend the South Side, Kihei, Wailea. If you're coming here for a vacation, it's most likely going to be the South Maui market, which is Kihei, Wailea, and McKenna. Again, more chill, a little less traffic, a little less new tourism.
Yep.
West Side is way more traffic, way more like tourist shops, way more tourist things to do, way more boat trips, and way more people that don't know how to drive.
Yeah.
So I stay away from the West Side. And the West Side would be considered Kaanapali, Lahaina, Kapalua, Mahana. There's a bunch of little towns, Honokauai, Pili. It's all beautiful though.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're after. So if you're looking for the best place to eat, do you want to spend $300? You want to spend $10? Again, choices. So for me, I love Mama's Fish House. It's sort of the Cadillac place. It's the place everybody says to go. But if you're going to go to Mama's Fish House, got to make reservations before you get here, a couple weeks in advance. It absolutely rocks.
Okay.
Sort of local kind of place. If you want to try poke, there's a lot of poke stands coming up all over the mainland. That's not poke.
And tell people, I didn't know what that was before I came here. Tell people what that is.
Poke is basically raw fish that's mixed with a variety of different things. Could be shoyu, could be onions, could be green onions, all different kinds of different mixes. Could be fish, could be, they call it taco or octopus. So a large variety. On the mainland, they're doing all kinds of weird, crazy stuff. This is where it all started, is in Hawaii.
Yep.
And so the best places, this is crazy, but the best places to get great poke, Times Supermarket, Safeway, and then the local liquor store, Tamura's Liquor Store. Those are the places that rock sushi.
There we go.
Or not sushi, poke.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of things people don't think about. One of my favorite sort of like little corner hole in the wall places, there's a couple, Dot Kitchen. They have the best Kalua pork, or the kind of the pork that you get at Luau's. It's unbelievable. And there's another place down on the south side called Coconut's Fish Cafe. The absolute, without a doubt, best fish tacos you'll ever eat in your life.
Yep.
I mean, they just rock.
I believe it.
And then if you want to come here and you want to get comfort food, there's a place called Fabiani's. They got a couple places, Fabiani's, and I like the one in Kihei. And it's just a Italian. He came from Cinque Terre. The thin crust, misshapen pizzas and amazing stuff. So that's another great place. So lots of choices. There's some great, you want fish. There's another place in Wailea called Nick's seafood. There's so many great places. I actually got a lifestyle guide that's got restaurants and beaches and things to do and places to go, and I'll get you one of those.
Nice, perfect. I'll go ahead and share that as well.
I don't know if I answered all your questions, but I get all so excited about talking about what
I think that's
here.
great. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. And if there is, you guys can reach out to Tom.
Yep.
And reach out to me. I'll reach out to him if you want. But I think that's it. I really appreciate you meeting with me.
All right.
Okay.
Likewise. And,
Thank you.
Enjoy your time here.
We will. Yeah, we've got another 4 days. So
4 more days. That's not enough. You may be moving here.
It's never enough.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.